Namaste and welcome to another episode of A Questioning Mind. I'm your host Sagarika, and today I'm joined by somebody new. I have with me Faraz, who is a friend and an extreme movie buff. He has watched every movie that has released within the country or within the southern part of the country, and he is an aspiring screenwriter and is working on a couple of projects at this time as well. He's somebody I've had a lot of fun discussing movies with because I'm not that much of a buff, but he's also amazingly good at spotting tropes and stereotypes within cinema. So, for us, a very warm welcome to you. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Sagarika. Finally, we've actually, yeah, we were supposed to do this a few months ago. When was this? December, November, December
Yeah,
कुछ नहीं चल
yeah,
रहा था,
yeah,
but then
yeah.
somehow never
Very
happened.
good.
And yeah, I mean, actually, it's a good thing because after we started talking, and then I'm like, I got more, क्या कैसे कहते हैं? I was a little more conscious about, हाँ, ये भी तो है, ये भी तो है. And then I would actually, I've been watching what South Indian movies since I was a kid,
Mm,
like Telugu dubbed movies of Tamil originals. And of course, I was just talking to my dad recently, and I was telling him that 91 mein, when I was what 6 years
mm,
old, I remember watching some Telugu movie, Chiranjeevi movie in the theater, and I told him we did that, and then we watched Khudagawa and whatnot. And मैं 4-6 साल का था, and then dad was like, हाँ वही तो entertainment है, मतलब वैजाग में वो beach और movies के अलावा और करने क्या कर.
right,
I was like,
right,
yeah, that makes sense. So I mean, बचपन से that's because my dad's a huge movie buff as well. I mean, he just likes movies a lot,
right.
and I've started watching movies after that, and then बीच में एक break आया, then yeah. फिर after a while, I've realized that the movies that you watch as a kid, right, and you really like them, and you're like, हाँ चलो, let's revisit those. So we do that, right? We watch Sholay so many times. We watch
Right,
Liga to.
right.
So the past few years से मैं तेलुगु movies ज़्यादा देखना शुरू किया. कि the things which I'm like, हाँ early 2000s में या 90s में 80s में movies कैसे थे, and then so many of them,
Mm.
and sadly I have a very bad memory, so I can't recollect every single name
Oh,
of the
okay.
movie, but I've I've noted down some of them, and
Right.
yeah, so and yeah, like when we were discussing about Shyam Singh Roy, and then you telling me
Mm.
about it.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, this was one of the most recent movies that I've noticed a trope in, and that's when I'm
Right.
like, ये तो what is this, like, बहुत पहले से भी आ रहा है. And then I saw like
Mm.
a Twitter thread on it, and I remember sharing that with you, and then
Ah,
yeah, so
excellent.
yeah, so उसके बाद then I realized, okay, एक ऐसा होता है कि they do a lot of comedy, which we love,
Mm.
by the way. We still look at
Mm.
those
Mm.
comedy scenes and we laugh at it because we don't really realize कि हो क्या रहा है. Like to a regular movie watcher who just watches it for the fun of it, who doesn't really maybe
Mm.
देख के हंस के, it's just entertainment. You carry on with your
Right,
regular life. तो
right,
उनके
right,
लिए
right.
तो it's like, हाँ, it's a huge comedy.
Hmm.
When you really sit down and think about it, things like you start noticing tropes, like you mentioned,
Mm.
and there's a lot of tropes that happen in Telugu movies specifically because they know. I think they've managed very well over the years, over the decades, to sort of hide it, hide all those layers within the context of comedy, or within the
Comedy.
context of
Oh.
comedy होगा या फिर he'll be a villain.
Mm.
So and then you realize that the guys बहुत पूजा पाठ करने वाले होते हैं. And I'll tell you one more. Like recently in Jalsa, there's this
Mm.
huge, massive hit called Jalsa, with Pawan Kalyan in it, and written by
Oh.
Trivikram. It's a comedy through and through, but then
Okay.
it's got this background of Naxalism, sort of like a
Mm.
positive layer of
Right, of
Naxalism to it.
course, of
That's
course.
supposed to be like the interval twist.
Yes.
But then I noticed, just well, last Sunday or something, I was watching it with dad. Just because that director, he has very good punchlines, one after the other, one after the other. Like hilarious punchlines he's got.
Mm.
Every most of the characters speak in punchlines basically, and उसका intro shot जो था, there's this villain who is doing एक serious, जैसे क्या बोलते हैं,
Aarti
lost you.
puja.
हाँ, so there's a serious पूजा, like हवन हो रहा है.
हवन, हाँ.
हाँ, हवन हो रहा है, and then he's wearing he's obviously wearing a धोती and thing, क्या कुछ. There's a dupatta type of thing, like silk का
हाँ
type of
हाँ,
thing.
गमछा, हाँ
I'll
हाँ.
show you the images. I'll show you the images of that
मतलब
intro shot is
टिपिकल वो
really good.
पंडित वाला डिपिक्शन.
पंडित वाला डिपिक्शन होता है उसका. एंड
हम्म.
देन द गाय कम्स इन, उसका साइड किक आता है और बोलता है कि एक लैंड सेटलमेंट करना है. एंड दिस गाय हैज कम फ्रॉम पुणे बाय द वे. So this guy, Hindi speaking guy, has come from Pune, and he's taken kabza over the property that we want to. तो क्या करें उसको. सो दिस गाइज लाइक ओके, बात करते हैं वगैरह. सो द साइड किक इज लाइक, बात कर करने से कुछ नहीं होता है, मर्डर कर देते हैं उसका. एंड दिस गाइज लाइक हाँ ओके फाइन, विल गो टॉक, एंड देन बात बिगड़ गई तो मर्डर
एस्केलेशन
कर
कहाँ से
देते.
वहां?
एस्केलेट. हाँ, कंप्लीटली एस्केलेट्स लाइक दैट.
ऑफ कोर्स पूजा
एंड
के
एंड
टाइम में बोल रहा है सर, हाँ.
पूजा के टाइम पे हो रहा है ये सब. एंड देन दैट
हाँ.
पूजा इज हैपनिंग इनसाइड ऑफ अ सेंट्रल जेल when
हम्म.
he's going to seek bail. ऐसा ही कुछ एक सीन है. That's the villain's intro.
हम्म.
And then I'm like, that reminded me of this movie. What's it called? It's a Chiranjeevi movie. Uh,
अब व्हाट्स इट कॉल्ड
ऐसा.
बोलोगे तो मुझे नहीं पता ये वाला कैटेगरी में कोई.
नो नो, बहुत फेमस था वो मूवी. मुठा मेस्त्री करके 91 92 का
ओके.
मूवी. तो
ओके.
उसमें there's a guy who's again the villain. वो बहुत पूजा पाठ टाइप का कैरेक्टर है वो, जो
हम्म.
who's really into it, who knows all the bhajans, who knows all the
हम्म.
Sanskrit terms, and all the mantra and everything. And that guy and his son, it's just, I can go on, like villain ka
राइट.
depiction ek hota hai. And then beyond that, there's another, again another Pawan Kalyan movie called Tammudu from 99 or 2000, early 2000s. 98 99 ka tha wo. So in Tammudu, there you see this character Brahmanandam, who's a very very famous, is one of the best comedians in Telugu.
राइट. यस.
And he is shown to be, उसका intro होता है कि he's a panthulu, like we call the term panthulu, जो पंडित को,
हम्म.
जो I think either he is like a marriage broker या कुछ तो ऐसे. And he comes into a guy's shop, like the hero's dad's shop. And he's like he's like a freeloader basically. So he comes in, and it's the dad's restaurant really. He's got a little cafe outside a college or something like that. And वो जब आता है, then he's like, he expects free stuff. And then he
हम्म.
takes out another big balti, and then he's like, fill this up, it's for my wife. I need to take food home for my wife as well. एंड देन साइड से एक आदमी आके उसका जो जो वर्कर होता है, वेटर वहां पे, वेटर इज लाइक, यही तो इसका काम है. ये आता है बस फ्रीलोड करके जाता है, एंड देन यू डोंट इवन रियलाइज. ये आपकी अच्छाई है कि यू डोंट रियलाइज, बट यू कीप गिविंग. बट उसकी बुराई है कि ही कीप्स टेकिंग लाइक अ फ्रीलोडर.
हम्म.
So
हम्म.
so if you notice, there's a lot of tropes like these where you know Brahmins in particular, Pantulu characters are shown as, while I was doing research yesterday or 2 days ago, I noticed that it's modeled after I don't know if I'm conflating it or it's actually modeled like that. The seven deadly sins, right?
राइट. ओह वाओ.
So
ओके.
gluttony and
मुझे ऐसा लगा कि इट्स मोर अबाउट सो भिक्षा लेने जाता है ना, तो वो एक्चुअली एक कल्चर है. जैसे बहुत सारे ब्राह्मण्स जो, and look, the jatis rise through the varna also. There are some jatis that became brahman only 300 years ago or something. So as
hmm,
like I know people jo bachpan mein there are days that are dedicated to your kul devta, then you
hmm,
go and do bhiksha. If you're a brahman, that reduces your ego or anything. Even if you're functioning as a grihastha, you're taught as a child to go and do bhiksha. So ye jo bhiksha, and if
hmm,
you go and see the depictions, say in Thailand or any other place where it's dharmic culture, right? Then you see
hmm,
these foreigners going and joining monks for when it's related to
uh,
Buddhism, they'll always show that, oh, these monks are devout
yeah,
and they are just begging for alms, like or a
yep,
normal fakir, right? A fakir goes and begs
yep,
for alms. But if it's a Hindu Brahmin pandit, then they are, yeah, all of these things, freeloaders or something like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
definitely something I've noticed that. But it's interesting, I did not realize that it could be correlated to the seven deadly sins at all. That
It
is,
is because honestly, like there was a movie which had an actual massive controversy. Now the thing is, I've noticed that people don't really object to every little scene.
right,
uh,
right.
कि ये ऐसा क्यों है, वो ऐसा क्यों है. It's just popular cinema, it's just commercial cinema.
Uh,
People laugh, people forget about it because it's done within, क्या कहते हैं, it's like mild doses, like slow
right.
poison. कहते हैं. It's
uh,
I don't like
uh,
using that term, but then it's like that because that
uh-huh.
I don't know if that's even the intention, but it's just become like जैसे whenever in Hindi movies a Sardarji character comes in,
Hmm.
there's always that background music, balle 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 balle. There's that. I don't like it. I don't know how it starts. It's just
ये
how it
बहुत
is.
लोगों ने लिखा भी है कि क्या है, बल्ले बल्ले या बीच में होए शाबा या कुछ कुछ, तो मतलब और
हाँ,
कोई काम धंधा है नहीं उन लोगों को, सिर्फ यही
करेक्ट,
करते रहते हैं, कोई
करेक्ट.
मतलब नॉर्मल लाइफ में तो है ही नहीं।
ऐसे ही होता है ना. एंड देन हिंदी मूवीज में एक और होता है कि इफ इट्स अ साउथ इंडियन कैरेक्टर देन he always says क्या जी, हाँ जी.
ओह
You know
यार,
the way
ओह
he
यार।
speaks. There's a it doesn't have to be like of course like वो एक चतुरनार से लेके Mahmood's
राइट,
depiction को.
राइट।
So that's the thing. I don't know if it's intentional or it's just that okay this is what works so let's just do this.
But
इसी को
sometimes
continue
it's
कर लेते हैं.
forced now. What is the point of having Rajpal Yadav do comedy of exactly that sort in Bhool Bhulaiya? What is the
Yeah,
point
exactly.
of?
Yeah,
And there was no controversy, okay? Like he went by without any issue. We had the
हाँ,
almost naked Hare Krishna Hare Rama Gana.
yeah,
Now,
yeah,
for me, I wouldn't have a problem with, say, nudity or something like that, but it's disrespectfully, it's portrayed disrespectfully, it's portrayed
yeah.
sexually, which is absolutely
That's the
not
thing.
something that correlates with the spiritual nature of a Hare Rama Hare Krishna song, right? So,
That's the thing. So which brings me to my next point because
mm,
it's never been objected to massively. I mean, look, I'm from a Muslim household, so
mm,
and I have friends from all over India, yeah,
mm,
all over various religions. So हम लोग actually, it's probably how I am, but I don't actually
mm,
discuss all of these with my friends. Like,
mm.
oh, how is it? Did you find it bad? Did you find it good? तो पता नहीं कभी वो
हाँ,
strike
वो
हुआ नहीं.
उतना, हाँ, हाँ, सही बात है।
वो होता है
इतना
ना. एंड देन
सीरियसली नहीं देखते हैं लोग, आई थिंक।
हाँ, इतना सीरियसली
हाँ।
नहीं लेते हैं. But then that did happen in a movie called देने का इना रेडी. It's Manchu Mohan Babu is his dad. He's done like thousands of movies, yeah, hundreds of movies, and he's got two sons who are, well, they are star kids, but they haven't done the best of movies. शायद एक या दो hits हैं या तीन चार hits हैं. तो उसका एक मूवी था देने का ही ना रेडी इन विच पीपल एक्चुअली sat up and noticed कि
ओह!
ये हद से ज्यादा है. And I think people heavily objected to it. This was 10 years ago. This was 2012 by the way. And वो एक होता है ना कि आजकल in the last 8 9 years people have become more you know especially after the government's changed,
राइट,
people have
राइट,
become
राइट।
very particular about it. They're objecting to everything, intolerant ho gaye, blah blah blah. But this was
हुँ,
2012. This was way before. And
हुँ,
a lot of people objected to, I mean, Brahman associations, they actually they didn't want the movie released, or they wanted certain scenes to be cut because
हुँ।
usme, I was reading about that and I realized about that whole conflation with seven deadly sins
राइट,
because
राइट, राइट।
they are shown to be very greedy. They're shown to be very. I mean, the Panthulu's wife is shown to be very vulgar, sleazy. She's trying to क्या बोलते हैं, lust after the
ओह!
some
सीरियस?
character. Yeah, it was actually quite bad. So all in the name of comedy, by the way. It's not like a serious thing. It's supposed to be funny, but it never worked. I don't think the movie worked either. एंड उसके पहले एक और था इन विच एनटीआर जूनियर का एक मूवी था who's being praised for RRR and
यस,
everything, but
आरआरआर, हाँ।
हाँ तो ब्रह्मानंदम एंड एनटीआर दे प्ले टू पंतुलू कैरेक्टर्स इन अदर्स. उसमें एक था, आई थिंक दे रिमूव्ड इट और दे म्यूटेड some scenes which were supposed to be objectionable where
Mhm.
they again they don't show Brahmins in a good light or Panthulu characters in a good light. So and I think they agreed to it as well because it's NTR Junior. He's a massive star even back then. 2010 maybe he was a massive star and in
Mhm.
yeah. So then I was like okay. ये हो क्यों रहा है मतलब सिर्फ तेलुगु मूवीज में ऐसे क्यों होता है then I was like go back way back 50s 60s के पहले when pre-independence era में
Uh-huh.
earlier they were just like I think Brahman movie directors या filmmakers या cinematographers होते थे फिर for
अच्छा.
whatever reason yeah if we have like an episode 2 of this or I'll tell you later when I actually do more research why
Mhm.
ऐसा हुआ कि the Kapus and the Kammas who are non-Brahmins they
Right, right, right.
so some places say that one of them like I think the Kapus are lower caste है लेकिन they're not other
So
backward castes so
they
they're other
are
castes
landed castes. They are landed castes in
हाँ
Andhra. They are very
yeah
rich people, and this is
yes
also Vijaya Gadde of Twitter, right? The former
mm, mm,
security
mm,
whatever person
mm,
who
mm.
essentially
जो
promoted
थी
the
हाँ
anti-Hindu
हाँ
whatever things there.
mm.
So she belongs to the Kama caste, I think. So
Yeah,
they
yeah,
are a very
lots of
rich,
people.
very
Yeah,
well-to-do
yeah,
jati, which are yeah they are classified as other backward classes, but they aren't actually
they aren't.
socioeconomically
They
backward at
aren't.
all. Yeah,
Socioeconomically, they're very rich. They're
yes,
predominant. I think
they are.
they're there in I don't know, not just there in politics. They're in movies. They're
Yes,
in a
yes,
lot of businesses. And
right,
the Reddys and the Kammas and the Kapus.
exactly.
So slowly, when they started taking over all the major movie roles, like they started producing their movies, they
Hmm.
started writing movies. So उस time पे like I'll give you a little example. NTR when he started coming in, and he became
Hmm.
really famous, right?
Yes.
And I'm talking about senior NTR, so
हाँ.
mid
उसका
mid
मैक्सिमम मैं
50s से
पार्क में गई हूँ, एनटीआर पार्क जो है.
हाँ अच्छा
तो,
yeah
हाँ.
it's good only yeah so and तो उनका एक मूवी था दानवीर सूरकर्णा करके
हाँ, हाँ,
in which he
हाँ.
plays I think 3 or 4 characters.
Right,
So
right.
if you noticed I think what that was part of my that was the slide which I was showing you earlier. One
Okay,
second.
okay.
Give you a little example. Where'd it go?
I'm
Ah, there it is.
sharing the
Yeah.
screen. हाँ.
So in this one, I can't scroll down until and then I can also see मेरे Northamptonshire के links दिख रहे हैं उसमें. Is that all right?
चलेगा.
It's good only. Nothing to मतलब कुछ
हाँ,
बुरा तो
नहीं,
नहीं है.
just
People can see that and go visit Northamptonshire, but
हाँ, so I don't think मैंने बताया Faraz is joining us from Northamptonshire, so वो
hmm.
यूके में
Oh yes, हाँ.
वो यूके में
UK
बैठकर अभी
based
वो तेलुगु और तमिल
तेलुगु
मूवीज
movies का
का ही
discussion
सपने
चल रहा है.
देख रहा है. हाँ,
आई
बट
नो नहीं यार मेरे दोस्त और मैंने एक मूवी लिख माय फ्रेंड ही स्टार्टेड राइटिंग अ मूवी ही गिव मी द आइडिया एंड देन वी स्टार्टेड राइटिंग इट आई मीन व्हेन I was unemployed for like 1.5 year for health reasons and I was like okay to keep myself busy
राइट राइट.
I'll uh, I'll help my friend out and let's see where this goes because I'm really interested in movies and वैसे वैसे मूवी बन गई प्रोड्यूसर्स के लिए ढूंढ रहे हैं हम बट अब मैं ये जो बातें कर रहा हूँ ऑल ऑफ दिस इज प्रोबेबली डिसिंग द मेजॉरिटी कास्ट हु आर प्रेडोमिनेंट इन तेलुगु मूवीज तो गई मेरी मूवी डूब गई मेरी मूवी
Yeah,
रिलीज होने से पहले
so my question is when there were other say other jati ke stakeholders such as Brahmins, were the
हाँ
Kambas or the Kapus discriminated against?
that's something which I really need to discuss further
Is this
or
like revenge? Because I
study
haven't
further
known of it. Honestly, I haven't heard this from any Reddys or Naidus or anyone that I've known.
mm,
कि उनके साथ उनको ऐसा लगा पहले या कुछ. This also
mm,
seems very much a template in the Dravidian Tamil cinema sense because
yeah
a lot of the extremely popular ones have caste delineations as major
yes yeah,
uh,
yeah.
what do you call वो pivoting it's not trope only it's also the point of the movie is to depict these things though.
That's the major difference where I've seen between Tamil and Telugu movies. तेलुगु मूवीज में ऐसे ओपनली नहीं कहते हैं, कम
ओपनली नहीं करते हैं,
तेलुगु
हाँ,
मूवीज।
वहाँ पे काफ़ी ऑब्वियस है, हाँ।
हाँ, वहां पे इट्स रियली लाइक जय भीम एंड व्हाट नॉट, so many
राइट,
movies from the
हाँ,
past from which even I don't know because I've started watching Tamil movies only from 2008 2010 से I started actually
हुँ,
following it. So I've not done as much of a research, but you get a general feeling that it's more
हुँ,
open there, it's more direct कि एक lower caste का lower economic status का दिखाया जाता है जिसपे बहुत and the thing is मैं
अच्छा,
subtitles
हुँ,
में ठीक से नहीं आता ना, it doesn't translate well. If they
ओके,
say something casteist slur कुछ है तो then it
हाँ,
won't
it
translate
just
well
says
onto.
caste is slur, right?
हाँ, it just says that, or it just says literally what the guy is saying,
हाँ,
कि you get out from here, you don't belong here कहता है. But
हाँ,
then probably local Tamil speaking people who know that
राइट,
history, they would probably know why he's saying you're not allowed inside this house, or things like
हुँ,
that, जो discriminatory things होते हैं. तो and yeah, so this one which I'm highlighting over here.
हाँ, हाँ,
So in Danveer Surkarna, Duryodhan and Karna are portrayed in like a very positive,
राइट,
in a very good
राइट.
sort of manner. So I don't know if that's
Yeah,
actually the
it's very
case in.
interesting that you actually picked this up. So this is something that is recent, right? This whole glamorization of Karna as well, and I got caught up in
Mm,
it also when I was younger, right?
mm,
जैसे एक तो आप बोलो रावण को कि वो हमारे भगवान है एंड ही इज जस्ट
mm,
फ्रॉम अ डिफरेंट कास्ट. Ravan is Brahman. How can he be Adivasi or something? He's written
mm,
off as a Brahmin who is extremely
yes,
arrogant. मतलब उसकी बहुत
yeah,
गलतियां हैं जो अच्छे से depict की
हाँ,
गई है. His respect is because he's a Brahmin and a very learned scholar of everything. तो वो है. And this whole glamorization of Karna is also, Karna is Kshatriya. अब
yeah,
उसको मतलब ही इज ब्रॉट अप एज ठीक है एज अ सार्थक का बेटा बट also he's extremely lewd, he's very rude, he's
yes,
vengeful and all of that, and that's how the original Karna is written. The
yeah,
latter part, this is very interesting for me because NTR was a long time ago, an early example of NTR was a
mm.
long time ago, so it's had time
Oh
to
yeah,
build into
it's like a
mass
very old movie.
talked
This
about
is,
it.
yeah.
Right, right.
So it's like you won't even probably realize this is a link to that article. I can share it with you. The News Minute
Uh-huh.
में it's been given. And News Minute is like a Chennai-based. Like,
Right.
it's not a
Dhanya
very. It's not a
Rajendran.
massive. It's not mainstream media either.
पर
So
धन्या
someone
राजेंद्रन का है ना, वो खुद तो मेन स्ट्रीम ही है.
धन्या राजेंद्रन का है.
हाँ,
हाँ है मतलब it's not your NDTV
हाँ,
या
राइट
Republic
राइट.
level का तो नहीं है तो
हाँ,
that's why. And so yeah, I mean, what was I saying? So I was saying that ये सब जो उसी जमाने से the kind of writing has been like that.
हम्म,
You portray, फॉर एग्जाम्पल एनटीआर या उसके बाद एनटीआर जूनियर तो अभी बहुत ही इज जस्ट
हम्म,
लेस देन 20 years. एनटीआर एएनआर ऑल ऑफ दीस पीपल आर क्या है, कम्माज है, कापूज है, आई थिंक देर ऑल कम्माज. कापूज आर चिरंजीवी एंड अल्लू फैमिली. कम्माज आर एनटीआर एएनआर दग्गुबाटी.
राइट राइट. हाँ
दग्गुबाटी
हाँ.
वेंकटेश. Daggubati Venkatesh's dad was a huge producer, Suresh Productions करके. Daggubati Ramanaidu. And ANR's family is also again Akineni, Nageshwar Rao, and then Nagarjuna. Chaitanya,
राइट.
to I mean, he's very young, but so
हम्म,
for generations we're talking about, for decades.
हम्म,
And उसके बाद आया like, Chiranjeevi in the 80s when senior NTR actually became a senior. तो उस time पे Chiranjeevi in the 80s, he would have movies where I mean he's from the Kapu caste. तो पहले ये हुआ कि जब कम्माज और कापूस इवन दो दे डिफरेंट, तो
हम्म,
द कापूस आल्सो फेल्ट दैट इवन कम्माज का जो रिप्रेजेंटेशन मिल रहा था कि समवन फ्रॉम आवर काइंड, द एग्रीकल्चरल बैकग्राउंड वाले जो स्मॉल विलेजेस में
राइट.
जो रहते
हाँ
हैं,
हाँ हाँ.
they've gone on to become like big massive stars. So it would pander to the masses kind of जो movies बनते थे. तो it was NTR's movies were very similar in line to what MGR would do. So
Okay.
so they would make movies like fantasy movies, yeah, so-called mythological. I don't like that word
Right,
mythological to,
it's yes.
yeah, to depict movies from like Ramayana, yeah,
हम्म,
Mahabharata related stories, historical stories is what the term I would prefer.
Hmm.
And तो इनको like various snippets from these movies होते थे,
Hmm.
या Maya Bazaar is a very famous one. It's a good movie as well. It's a very well made movie from back in the day. And so they became very popular. They became very popular and they became very powerful, very dominant. तो मूवी सारा इंडस्ट्री उनका था. तो आई वुड से 50 60 70s जब they were still very, क्या कहते हैं, there was no direct attacks and the kind of movies being made were different as well, right? And I would say 80s se jab Chiranjeevi came into the picture, Allu Ramalingaya was actually a comedian and a producer,
Hmm.
and his so he is Chiranjeevi's father-in-law,
Okay.
so Allu Arjun's grandfather,
हाँ.
basically.
Hmm.
तो ही इज चिरंजीवी's father-in-law. तो इन दोनों का जब कंबाइन हुआ तो कापू कास्ट के there's a lot of representation from them, and
Hmm.
Chiru's movies, early movies were all like angry young man like Amitabh. So again, he wouldn't say it directly. He wouldn't say that मेरे कास्ट को नीचे दिखाया जा रहा है.
Right.
He would play like Mutha Mestri में he plays a little बस्ती में छोटे slum sort of area में he's I don't know, he's one of the he's a laborer or something. Yeah, he's a laborer. He who helps out pick bags and stuff.
Mystery.
And Mestri basically, and gang leader. There's so many movies where he would just play a normal guy, uh, जिसको जिसके साथ नाइंसाफी हुई है by a very rich guy. So those that was like a template of his movies. And now that rich guy could again be like a big bad Brahmin guy who's into puja part. Again, that's where all the subtleties come in, all the
Right.
layers come, which you won't really notice. You'll be like, हाँ है कोई
हाँ,
पूजा कर रहा है.
पूरा
But then
मतलब
suddenly,
बॉलीवुड में भी आदत ही हो गई है उस लोगों को देख देख के, तो सेम ही
हाँ,
चल रहा है.
exactly. So क्या कहते हैं उसको? You're just in tune to it, yeah. You're just used to it. You're like, हाँ, there's nothing wrong. देख तो रहे हैं. It's like, हाँ, it's fine. And then side note on this is there's always that one Muslim good guy.
Of course there is.
There's one Rahim Bhai or Rahman
करीम
Bhai ऐसे
चाचा.
नाम का कोई रहता है. हाँ,
करीम
so
चाचा
he's
वहाँ
the
का.
most Kareem Chacha, yes, exactly. He's the most innocent, very hardworking, very by the book, very मतलब law को follow करता है.
Mm.
जिसकी शायद बेटी होती है जिसके साथ कुछ गलत हुआ है, या फिर उसका बेटा बहुत हार्ड वर्क करके he wants to come up in life and he's killed.
Oh.
तो and this guy, he's the only guy, if you notice, Rahim Chacha type of character is the only guy जिसको जब अज़ान का वक्त होता है ना, नमाज का वक्त होता है, अज़ान बैकग्राउंड में आता है, बात करते करते he'll be like, मेरा नमाज का वक्त हो गया, मैं जाता हूँ बेटा, some dialogue like that. Or again, like the example of Mutha Mestri, which I was telling you on chat that day. um, so where uh, these guys, they're all protesting in front of the rich guy, the rich
Mm.
big baddie.
हाँ.
And suddenly azan hota hai, like around 4 baje something. So this guy and his son, this is a
I'm
1991
sorry, I
movie
was
by the way.
remembering वो chat पे
Yeah.
लिखा हुआ था. हाँ.
हाँ, तो ये बैठ के नमाज पढ़ना शुरू करता है. मतलब
Mm.
इन द मिडल ऑफ द रोड ही स्टार्ट्स प्रेइंग, नमाज करता है, एंड देन द हीरो एंड हिज फ्रेंड्स, दे प्रोटेक्ट देम फ्रॉम ऑल द बैड गाइज हु आर ट्राइंग टू हिट देम, समथिंग लाइक दैट. कि उसकी क्या जरूरत थी? देयर इज नो पॉइंट ऑफ दैट रियली, दैट सीन, एक्सेप्ट फॉर अपीजमेंट का वो क्या का, आई डोंट नो. एंड yeah, so things like that. And then there's a guy who's murdered, and ऐसा होता है कि कोर्ट में you're supposed to give गवाही. And then
Mm.
एक फेक वीडियो बनाते हैं उस टाइम पे. This was quite advanced for back then, huh? They're making fake videos as evidence.
हाँ.
He plays a cassette and he's like, देखो मर्डर जब हुआ था तो ये विलन का बेटा तो था ही नहीं यहाँ पे. So
हाँ,
and
हाँ,
then
हाँ.
the hero is like, no, play that again. And then भरी सभा
Right.
कोर्ट में एक छोटे से टीवी पे वो जो वीडियो दिख रहा है उसमें हीरो को, चिरंजीवी को अजान सुनाई देती है. ही इज लाइक, मुझे पता है ये रहीम चाचा या whatever, whoever चाचा भाई whoever, he is very particular about नमाज, and I know the नमाज timings as well. उसको जो 5 वक्त नमाज होता है, ये दोपहर के कुछ 2 बजे के करीब एक नमाज होता है, एंड उस टाइम पे ये घर में नहीं हो सकता, समथिंग कुछ कह के he proves it basically कि this is a fake
Fake
video.
video. हाँ.
हाँ, तो मतलब सोचो, it's like proper detective work going on over there.
हाँ, हाँ,
Yeah,
हाँ. No, I remember
ये
this.
सब, हाँ. And the thing is, that Rahim Chacha is the only character in the movie जिसको जब मार दिया जाता है तो he's like या अल्लाह कह के मर जाता है ना, बाकी कोई नहीं कहता. I was watching Karma recently, Subhash Ghai की movie. So it's not just a Telugu trope.
हाँ.
Uh, Subhash Ghai की एक movie है Karma, 1986 की, was like what, a few weeks before I was born. I was just watching it 2 nights ago, and उसमें Dilip Kumar is he's got this jail where he's trying to reform people, everyone, and Dr. Dang, played by Anupam Kher. Uh, he comes and for whatever reason they have a disagreement, ego hurt, whatever story, and to progress the script basically, Dr. Dang and his guys, they come and they destroy his whole jail, they kill everybody. Usme obviously there's one Rahim Chacha, sorry,
हाँ.
yeah, there's one Rahim Chacha character who's like, oh Jim, just before, well, he's dead basically.
Oh.
Dilip Kumar comes in and he wants to come and ask कि क्या हुआ तुमको, and this guy's like या अल्लाह मुझे मार दिया जाएगा. Nobody else. There are like 100 other dead people over there. They're all like मुझे बचाओ and all. But this guy is like हाँ. And then there's also one Sardaji character, by the way. He also is like just before dying is like Sat Sri Akal. It's like it's a thing. It's a
धन्यवाद नहीं
trope that I've
बोलोगे.
noticed. Uh, mm. It's मेरी
तो
मूवी नहीं बनने वाली बेटा.
सॉरी,
So,
कोई बात नहीं,
no,
पॉडकास्ट में.
it's just how it is though. I know. No, but it's just how it is, right? I mean, I want to be a little unfiltered here because it's just how things are. Like these are these are tropes that we're all tired of, basically. That's what I mean. I know I'm taking big names here, but then and then you notice that Brahmanandam, I don't think he's Brahmin. He's from another caste.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to look it up because there was
Okay.
only one actual Brahmin actor who was a comedian. He's called Iron Leg Shastri, who was Viswanath Shastri या कुछ उनका नाम था. And he was a
Hmm.
comedian. His general trope in every comedy, early 90s comedy movie was he's generally a very obese man. तो उसका नाम आयरन लेग शास्त्री रखा गया because in one movie he got famous with that character where जब वो enter होता है there's this धाड़ धूड़, there's a camera moves earthquake को दिखाने करके, and he's just eating all the time, and that's another trope like gluttony. That's another
Gluttony,
trope
right,
I was
right.
telling you.
Yeah.
So he's like that, and then yeah, it's just that was the only, I think that's like the outlier. So he
So
was
gluttony and lust are two of the sins that you've mentioned. और कौन
uh,
greed भी बता दिया, वो freeloader
ग्रेड
वाला.
भी है लाइक they're freeloaders करके,
हाँ.
राइट. और envy होता है जिसमें they're generally shown to either they come to the house के, so in a way that envy and greed sort of go hand in hand where जैसे for example the guy comes in, पंतुलू को बुलाया जाता है for whatever reason to a big house, हवन या यज्ञ या पूजा करवाने के लिए, and the guy comes in and he just looks at the entire house like that आलीशान महल है, इनसे ज्यादा ले सकते हैं पैसे. So
Oh.
things like that.
हाँ.
So that's shown to be his first thought, and everyone laughs because it's like an applause thing. के, oh ha ha ha, this guy is so funny. So and वो एक था. What are the other things? I've actually written it down.
Nee, I also want to talk about this
Uh,
very severe, strange obsession with portraying the Devdasis as some, sad, oppressed people.
हाँ.
Now, the thing is,
Which
it's
is far
made.
from the truth, isn't it?
It is not only far from the truth. The problem is also that थोड़ा बचपन में schools में भी I remember कुछ तो था कहीं पे, तो बचपन में ना कुछ
Mm.
पढ़ाया इसमें that they forgot to tell that this was a very highly empowered class of women who were made destitute by the British redistribution of temple lands. They
Yes.
forgot that small part जहाँ पे वो किया, but
Yes.
that they were the keepers of Mohiniyattam, Bharatanatyam, all of these, and devoutly spiritual people. But yeah, very recently former, I don't know, journalist, commentator, one of those people, she seems like an equal opportunity offender when it comes to feminism. So that's why I'm not
Yeah.
going too harsh on her, because she's one of
Yeah.
those few far left liberals who has called out even hijabs and forced hijabs and things
Mm.
like that. Like a child cannot be does not have a choice when she's made to wear a hijab at 6 months old.
Correct.
That's not choice. That's conditioning. So she has called out
Correct.
these things. तो उसने एक बार ऐसे कुछ बहुत ही घटिया लिखा था about Devdasis, and I was very surprised. Okay, when I was looking at the links to share with her, I noticed that even
Hmm.
Wikipedia did not mess it up so bad. They have a pretty
Hmm.
decent. Of course, their sources are good, but they have a
Yeah.
pretty decent history. And for the viewers, I will link it down in the description box below. But Southern cinema has, and this is something I think our discussion also started with Sham Singh Roy, because Vaiki
Yes.
Brahmins are oppressing Devadasis, whereas they
Uh-huh.
were very much a complementary people, because the Devdasis were very involved in temple activities. They were the ones who
Yeah.
decided kitna phool, kitna paisa, and if they were to choose to leave the system, and kings have sent their daughters to be Devdasis, and if they had to leave the system, they could get married very often to a zamindar ka beta or something like that, and then they would
Hmm.
go away. There's no like उसमें कोई परहेज नहीं है. So but they were very empowered at one point, but this is something that southern cinema has especially portrayed negatively. It's also interesting that they retain memory of this, because most of the, I think, north में वो culture थोड़ा का, you still have umrao Jan वगैरह, which is a
Hmm.
tawaif notch
Yes.
girl kind of
Yes.
situation, but
Like you
devdasis
even
में
have
वो
Paro.
situation ही नहीं है. हाँ, मतलब पार.
You even
Yeah,
have Paro from Devdas,
right, right, right,
who is supposed to be like a Tawaif Notch girl who
right.
is supposed to be
हाँ,
very, like, she's not shown in a very vulgar manner, is she? She's shown
no,
very
yes,
nice, like
right.
very, yeah. But somehow Devdas is like in the case of Shyam Singh Roy, that was the thing that totally threw me off the movie, because I mean, well, there were other issues as well, but
Mhm.
because, for example, the
It's a
guy,
high
he's
production
supposed.
quality value movie, right? मतलब
Mhm.
बहुत ही high production quality movie है वो.
It is, and it stars Nani, who's a big star. I mean, he's not like a mega star, but he's probably in the second tier of very popular actors, isn't he? He's Nani was is still one of the ones who's considered as, you know, an outsider who's come in and he's doing really good movies and very popular cinema. He's not a star kid, and his
Hmm.
stories have good content, good dialogues, and they're not like, okay, he hits one guy, 10 guys fly, he's
रोहित
not done any.
शेट्टी.
हाँ हाँ, वैसे रोहित शेट्टी टाइप ऑफ मूवीज नहीं करता हो. He's always done very dialogue based, content based, romantic movies, love stories, all of that. But when I saw Shyam Singh Roy, it was like, okay, he plays a short filmmaker or something, where he wants to cast a girl. He's on the lookout for a heroine in his short film. तो वो कैफे जाता है कहीं हैदराबाद में, and then he sees a girl smoking, and he's like, हाँ, this will be my heroine because she's very like forward and very, because she's smoking. That's it. That's all. And of course, she's a heroine, तो मतलब she's mildly good looking and all of that. But like, ये क्या मतलब,
नहीं
please
बनेगी
I don't
तुम्हारी
blame.
फिल्म.
हाँ
नहीं बनेगी तुम्हारी फिल्म, ऐसे मत बोलो.
हाँ. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, how an actor like Nani would agree to uh, something like this, because, well, it's not just Nani's fault, right? It's the producer, the writer, the people who conceptualize that scene. Everything is just not just Nani to blame. That writer, I mean, the filmmaker, I'm not too sure who he is. He's probably made one or two movies or something. I could be very wrong, by the way. Yeah, but
हाँ.
उसके बाद होता है मूवी में कि he somehow keeps getting these, ओम शांति ओम टाइप ऑफ, फ्लैशबैक टाइप ऑफ कुछ मिलते रहता
Hmm.
है उसको, एंड व्हाटएवर स्टोरी प्रोग्रेसेस, एंड ही सीज साई पल्लवी, who's again a very good dancer, a very good actor.
Yes.
She's done amazing movies and everything, but she plays the character of this Devdasi,
Hmm.
who's so this is the massive problem I had with the movie. She is shown to be like in a little harem of a temple's Brahmin, the Pandit. He's like the head who, by nightfall, he asks all the Devdasis to come and gather in front of him like an assembly line, and then he picks one girl out, and then one day he picks like this underage girl. So that, I'm very sure, was not something, that's like really far from the Devdasi truth, like which you mentioned earlier. So, like राजे अपने बेटियों को भेजते थे देवदासी के लिए. It's like they I don't know why they chose to do that. I don't know why they chose to depict that in the film, because there's no specific reason other than, well, to show something
How
which is not
evil
true
can
at all.
something be,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. And उसमें एक और भी scene था where Shyam Singh Roy, the lead title character in Bengal somewhere, he is supposed to be the helper of the downtrodden, and there's a well where in front of the wells. This was one movie in Telugu which they've directly shown कि Dalits को Brahmins ने बुरा किया. It's like this was openly shown because they've shown people, the Brahmins, they're drawing water from the well, and then they're
Mm-hmm.
like a huge group of Dalits sitting in front, and then they're like dying of thirst, and achuts basically, untouchable class, and the Pandits guys are like, you can't touch water from that well. You're gonna, the water is gonna get impure if you touch it, basically. So, and then Shyam Singh Rai, what he does is he takes one of the kids or one of the guys who's dying of thirst, and he throws him in the water, basically in the well. He knows that he'll swim and he'll come up somehow, but he's like, अच्छा तुमको ऐसा लगता है तो मैं सारे पानी को ही पोल्यूट कर देता हूँ, तब तुम लोग तो नहीं पियोगे ना, it's only for these guys now. So he's supposed to be the supporter of the downtrodden caste and all of that, and then he goes and sees that this girl needs help, the Devdasi girl, because the Pandit is like, shown to be a pedophile and an outright evil character. There's no gray shades, basically. It's all Sham Singh Roy and all the untouchables are like really good, and the Brahmins are like really bad. There's no, that didn't make sense to me. Why would they do that? What is your maksad kya hai movie aise banane ka? And then it's a popular movie with a popular actor. It's not like yeah. So I have a problem with you know incorrect depictions which are passed off in popular movies, and people accept it, because this is shown across the world. It was in Netflix, everyone watches it, and then people think, हाँ यही होता होगा इंडिया में, यही करते होंगे Brahmins, like, see the, I mean, I don't know if it's related, but then there's a lot of discussion now in the US about how Brahmins, the caste system
Yeah,
in
my
in all
article
the
on
tech
that
companies
will
isn't.
be out in a couple of days. So, along with this
Yeah,
video, I will be putting the link to that also in the description
yeah,
box below. So, the funny part is neither Faraz or nor I are Brahmins, but we are
yeah,
obviously Indians and are able to see tropes, untrue tropes being promoted
yes,
in popular culture, but also popular culture because of India's rising stature. There are
mm,
hostage population situations in the Western world, and thus such depictions have highly inflammatory, consequences if somebody
yeah,
wants to misuse them. जो कि हो रहा है बाहर, and मतलब ऐसा
but
नहीं है कि सिर्फ शाम सिंह रॉय देखकर कोई कर रहा है, बट बात ये है, उनको यही
yeah,
लगता है, इसलिए किसी का वो स्मैश ब्राह्मणिकल पैट्रियार्की चल जाएगा,
uh,
जबकि किसी को
no, I
हिस्ट्री
mean, Shyam Singh Roy is just
विस्ट्री
one example, but
एग्जैक्टली
I'm
इट्स अ
the
सिम्पटम.
like the idea of making it a comedian who's a freeloader, a comedian who's
हाँ
a
हाँ.
and it's very famous, that NTR and Brahmananda movie. It's very famous. It's even now, if you sit and watch it without any of this, without keeping any of this in mind, you'll still
Mm,
probably laugh at it, and it's
laugh.
actually funny.
हाँ.
Where Brahmanandam is trying to woo the heroine,
Mm,
and ऐसे कुछ, there's many of them in which the guy, like the Pandit, he goes in and he looks at the girl, the heroine or heroine's sister or somebody,
mm,
and he's like, "Kya maal hai?" Something like that. That kind of dialogue in Hindi, in
हाँ.
Telugu. And then the hero's like, "What did you say?" And then he's like, "नहीं नहीं, मतलब अच्छे features है, बहुत अच्छी लड़की है." So he corrects himself. So it's like, he's funny. It's supposed to be a funny scene. But यही तो बात है ना. It's like, how, I don't know. It's like when people watch movies, or they consume media, art with all of this in mind, they're not able to enjoy anything.
नहीं, ट्रू, आई गेट इट, बट
So
वही होता है ना
sometimes
कि
you
जैसे
just,
आपको दिख गया तो यू कांट, मतलब दिख गया ना फिर,
you can't unsee it now.
यू
Yeah,
कांट
you
अनसी
can't
इट,
unsee it.
एंड मेरे साथ भी ऐसा होता है, बट यू कांट अनसी
हाँ,
इट, इसलिए थोड़ा इट्स
correct.
नॉट लाइक यू कैन एस्केप इनटू इट. लाइक true escapist cinema is for me only ये डिटेक्टिव वगैरह, बट आई कुड टॉक अबाउट
Yeah.
बंगाली मूवीज अ लिटिल बिट जो मैंने ज्यादा नहीं देखे, नथिंग
हाँ.
टू योर, मतलब ऑब्वियसली मैं जो देखती हूँ उसमें भी यू नो दीज एक्टर्स, इन्होंने इस मूवी में एक्टिंग करी है जो मुझे नहीं
Yeah,
पता.
yeah, yeah.
तो
Yeah.
हाँ,
Because that's the
but
first thing I do, huh? When I watch a movie, I just like, ye actor, go to IMDb. I've seen him somewhere. He's done this. He's done
हाँ,
this. So,
हाँ. मतलब
sorry, go
but
on.
वो भी जैसे अद्वैता कला was apparently I did not know this. Okay, she was the screenwriter for Kahani. That remains my favorite Bollywood movie until date. I had no
Yes,
idea.
yes. Yeah. Wow. I thought it
So
was Sujay Ghosh. Sujoy Ghosh. Yeah.
Sujay Ghosh was the director.
Yeah.
The
Yeah. Okay. I
screenwriter
didn't
was
know.
Adwaita Kala.
I
So
didn't know that.
it was very, and that's still one of my. There's ऐसी movies नहीं बनती है जिसमें you just focus on the acting and the complete package of the
Yeah.
movie. इसमें
I mean,
मतलब
होते
बाकी
हैं,
चीजें हाँ कम होता है.
कम होते हैं. I mean, we're talking about movies that are not commercial, popular cinema. Like,
मुझे
you
RRR भी
can't
थोड़ी
like,
वैसी लगी.
RRR.
RRR भी थोड़ी वैसी लगी. मतलब I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I loved it. I was
हाँ
watching it again on its 1 year
हाँ
anniversary, and I really liked it. I mean, there are some scenes which were like, why are they playing
exactly.
dumb charades on the bridge
क्यों?
and all? But I mean, वो पास में आके वो ब्रिज से साइन कर रहा है, वो सिग्नल कर रहा है कि ऐसे ऐसे तुम आ जाओ, यहाँ से आ
हाँ
जाओ. वो उसको उसको समझ में आ जाता है कि उसी से बात कर रहा है. वो बाइक लेके आता है ब्रिज पे.
हाँ
तो ब्रिज पे जब मिलते हैं तो दे कैन एक्चुअली मीट एंड दे कैन टॉक ना कि
हाँ
भाई ये हो रहा है, बच्चे को ऐसे
हाँ
बचाते हैं. बट नो, वहां ब्रिज पे आके भी वो डमशराट्स खेल रहे हैं कि तुम यहाँ
हाँ
से आओ, मैं वहां से आता हूँ. इट्स लाइक, आई नो इट्स सीनिक एंड इट्स लाइक वेरी ब्यूटिफुली शॉट, एंड वीएफएक्स ऐसे हैं कि पता ही नहीं चलता कि वीएफएक्स है. आई मीन, व्हेन कंपेयर्ड टू मूवीज लाइक ट्रेलर्स लाइक आदिपुरुष, वेयर तुमको पता चल रहा है कि
Oh
वीएफएक्स
God,
बहुत
oh
खराब है,
God.
राइट? सो इन अ एंड इट्स 500 crores, मतलब तो क्या कहें.
Hmm.
बट आई मीन, बैक टू आरआरआर, इतनी अच्छी मूवी है तो
Hmm.
थोड़ी जगह मतलब थोड़ा और केयर ले लेते हैं.
Right,
बट
right.
दैट्स द अनदर प्रॉब्लम विद मी के मैं हर मूवी में मतलब फॉल्ट
नहीं
निकालता हूँ कि ये
मतलब
ऐसा
I
क्यों.
can also do that, but वही from a story
या
perspective उसमें इतना कुछ problematic इतना
या
नहीं था, so that was
हाँ
good because ऐसे मतलब हर चीज
या
में आप एक थोड़ा सा politics घुसा दोगे या agenda घुसा दोगे where the story
हाँ.
is of the least concern. So if
हम्म.
there's any Bengalis watching this, then Totara Chaudhary's Feludar Goendagiri was a very good series on Hoichoi, and I think there are two series. I've watched one, but वो मुझे
हम्म.
बहुत again simple लगी because even the detective वाले movies जो मैं देखती हूँ उसमें भी like there's literally a scene in one of and Abhi Chatterjee is very good looking. उसके एक movie में है कोई same series of detective stories. पुराने राजा कितने सेक्युलर होते थे ना. There's a literal dialogue.
Are you serious?
Not kidding. Like
Oh
हाँ
God.
ये उसका हिंदू लैंडलॉर्ड था, वो उसका मुस्लिम राजा था. कितने
हाँ.
सेक्युलर होते थे ना. Like are you
Oh
kidding?
God. क्या लिख रहे हैं, मतलब होता है ना, like obviously lot of writers and directors, they, that's the whole point, isn't it, where you
ये तो
present
मतलब
your
at
point,
least
what
Telugu
your.
cinema you're saying is more sophisticated about it.
Yeah, it is actually speaking. Yeah, now that you think about it, because एक और like it is, but in a एक और movie, like I just remembered Venki करके एक movie, again it's a comedy, it's an out and out comedy with some sort of Ashutosh Rana, isn't it? Yeah, Ashutosh Rana,
Oh.
and yeah, he plays like he plays one of the major characters in it, and
Mhm.
एक अच्छी मूवी थी. And then there's this whole, the first half is proper out and out comedy, उसके बाद it becomes like this murder mystery कि
Oh.
कैसे क्यों वगैरह type. तो it's still popular, it's still very like, that director is not making movies anymore. He fell out with some of the
Okay.
पता नहीं क्या हुआ था, but his movies have lost, like nobody watches his movies anymore. But that was, I think, one of his first few movies, Venki, where it's still funny if you think about it. If you'll still laugh, but एक ऐसा scene है where the hero, Ravi Teja, I don't know Ravi Teja, you guys outside of, I mean, he was in Walter
नहीं
Veerayya
मैं
for people on
हाँ.
in his most recent movie where he was with Chiranjeevi, but this was in 2003 2004. He plays a guy who consults a numerologist guy for every little thing. And that numerologist guy is again shown to be, I don't know if he's Brahmin. Yeah, I have to go and
हम्म.
revisit where he's always sitting and हाँ ये होता है ना, जैसे क्या, वो कौन है वो जो जो अपना कंट्री बना के कहीं और चला गया.
नित्यानंद.
Nityananda, हाँ. तो he's like
Nityanand.
Nityananda type of guy who's sitting and he's preaching to everyone. ऐसा type of Baba type of character है वो. And this guy, the hero, he keeps calling him for every little thing, कि मुझे आगे स्टेप क्या लेना चाहिए, मैं कौन से, मैं वो ट्रेन में जा रहा है तो कॉल करके पूछता है कि मैं वो ऑड नंबर बोगी में बैठूं या इवन नंबर बोगी में, थिंग्स लाइक दैट फॉर कॉमेडी. And this guy, he calls him at night, and then that Baba guy, he's just is busy drinking and he's having non-veg and all of that. And
ये क्यों
हाँ,
दिखाते हैं हमेशा?
एग्जैक्टली, क्यों दिखाते हैं? इट्स ऑलवेज अबाउट दैट, इट्स ऑलवेज अबाउट, हाँ ये लोग हैं तो ये जैसे है वैसे नहीं है. That's the bottom line which I want to say basically. I know I've been rambling about for like what 50 minutes now, but the
नहीं,
bottom line being,
नहीं, नहीं, हाँ,
हाँ,
वही।
कि
So,
ऐसे
ये
ये लोग
मुन्ना भाई
है
में भी था,
वो है नहीं.
सेकंड मुन्ना भाई में सेम चीज़ था ना? यू रिमेंबर वो
हाँ, हाँ,
ज्योतिषी भाई को बुलाता था, फिर
एग्जैक्टली
दिखाएगा
लाइक दैट, हाँ.
ऐसे।
यही तो होता है ना कि, बट उसमें तो आई डोंट नो, सन व्हाट्स दैट डायरेक्टर्स नेम, आई फॉरगॉटन. राजू हिरानी की मूवी स्टार्टिंग में थे अच्छे, बट इफ यू वॉच संजू, you'll understand that it's just a hagiography on a character who doesn't deserve it really, but
हाँ, वो तो मैं नहीं
yeah.
देखूँगी, बट हाँ, आई नो
uh,
अबाउट इट। तो
yeah. And even in PK it was like, PK was उसी की मूवी थी ना, तो PK
हाँ।
में भी तो there was a lot of, everyone knows what the problems were
हुँ,
in that,
हुँ।
तो जो नहीं दिखाना
और
चाहिए था बिल्कुल.
उस समय
PK,
में ऑनेस्टली कम अवेयरनेस था, पीपल अगेन लाइक वी
हाँ.
बट पीके में इतना ऑब्वियस था तभी भी लोग बोल रहे थे। लाइक कैन यू
हम्म,
इमेजिन वन गदर वाज मेड, वन गदर, नथिंग
हम्म,
एवर केम आउट आफ्टर दैट। एंड द थिंग वाज
yeah.
ऐसा कुछ नहीं दिखाया था कि मुस्लिम्स ऐसे हैं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं दिखाया, पाकिस्तान दिखाया
हम्म,
था।
हम्म,
पाकिस्तान दिखाया था उसमें, और कुछ नहीं दिखाया था। And
हाँ.
there has never been another movie. The only backlash I remember last was Rohit Shetty being asked why one character, one bad character, had a Muslim name. He's like, "What is your problem? So many characters
Yeah,
have Hindu
yeah,
names. So
yeah.
why are you asking me about this one?" तो वो
उसका
वाला
क्यों बात, which is
हाँ,
which is called again conditioning, right? Like all the
हाँ,
Muslim characters are supposed to be like very good Rahim chachas and Rahim bhais.
हाँ,
So
बट
always,
मतलब
yeah.
आप उसमें उसको देखो, लाइक इट्स सच अ बैड लुक ऑन these weren't only Muslims protesting for the most part, it was a very
Mm,
communist party,
yeah,
मतलब communist
yeah,
group that was protesting. But the thing is, if you think that a community or any kind of people deserve that sort of mollycoddling, it's just that you assume them to be somehow inferior. That's so disrespectful. Like,
yeah.
I don't think that a lot of
Which is,
vocal Muslims obviously don't take it. I appreciate Khalid Beg
yeah,
also talking about it.
yeah, yeah.
तो
Yeah.
मतलब
And the thing is, if you notice in even Muslims, right, who are, well, the minority,
the ones
they
that are
are
always
always shown to be either very good or they're shown to be very bad. There's no normal Muslim character in movies, if you've noticed.
काम
There's
धंधा
no like,
करने वाला, हाँ।
हाँ, there's no regular guy,
No
like
Faraz.
myself. Yeah,
हाँ,
yeah. Oh, फराज मूवी देखनी है मुझे. उसमें भी तो एक टेररिस्ट का, बांग्लादेश का टेररिस्ट अटैक का कुछ था उसमें.
अच्छा।
I want to watch it. It's on Netflix. But yeah, I mean, there's always one. They're either too bad or they're too good. There's no normal, which is again a problem. I don't know. Punjabis are still fine. They're shown as mostly comic characters. Yeah, but they're also like, Christians are again like, Parsis are supposed to be,
Oh, they
उनका
are
एक
so
depiction होता है,
stereotyped. हाँ,
very
देख लो।
stereotype.
हाँ,
Mharo Dikro,
हाँ,
that type जो मुन्ना भाई में था, and not just
हाँ,
मुन्ना भाई, they're everywhere.
everywhere.
Parsi matlab you get that in mind, na? You don't get anything else in mind. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. A lot of writing needs to change in India overall, but I think in South India particularly, जैसे
जाओ जाओ बनाओ
like
फिर
we would,
मूवी।
sorry.
जाओ जाओ बनाओ मूवीज ऐसे अच्छी राइटिंग वाली।
हाँ, अब रिलीज भी होगी मूवी मेरी. So yeah, नहीं मतलब that's the thing. I think we need to focus on stories which are just like in ours
स्टोरीज।
it's like a single location में it's a cerebral thriller type of, focus on things which are more interesting.
राइट,
Like people
राइट।
are also bored of this typical stereotypical
सीरियसली,
stuff, and
राइट, राइट।
yeah.
And
um,
I think it's not hard as long as there's a story, right? You're focusing on the story. कहीं किसी
mm,
को आइडिया है, चलो इसमें ना ये घुसा देते हैं। ये
हाँ,
वो आइडिया नहीं आए तो that streamlined production will probably create a lot of good stories. Just हाँ, स्टोरी
I'll
है।
Yeah.
बन रहा है
I'll tell
बन
you I'll tell you an example of that. Actual normal story se hatke, there's always in Malayalam movies in the recent past, after the whole beef controversy has started in the
हाँ, हाँ,
5 6 years, say 10 years,
हम्म,
there's always a scene in the last few years I've seen that Malayalam movies में ही है ज्यादा कि this guy's like हाँ मैं beef खा रहा हूँ, he's like हाँ
हाँ वो
I
मैंने
also want beef,
देखा वो
it's
मैंने
like that.
देखा
ऐसे recently तंगम करके एक movie था, उसमें था वो,
हम्म,
yeah, it's like that scene was like it's played out for comedy again कि हम beef खा रहे हैं, so
हम्म,
nobody can stop us. Kerala में हम beef खाते हैं, nobody's gonna stop us. So there's always that scene which, well, in a sense I do applaud the fact that they're actually making that, but then ज़्यादा हो रहा है.
हम्म,
So it's become very obvious now.
right,
So
right.
get inspired by Telugu people. Decades से हम लोग subtly कर रहे हैं इतना, किसी को पता नहीं चल रहा है until now. So
हाँ हाँ अंटिल
yeah,
फराज बताता है
fine.
हाँ
Seriously man, it's just the problem is अब जो rewatch कर रहा हूँ ना, सारे movies जो rewatch कर रहा हूँ early
हाँ
2000s से, I feel
हाँ
early 2000s से या late 90s से बहुत ज्यादा हो गया था ये कि make fun of a Brahmin character. That's the thing. I don't know if it started as a trope and everyone started putting it in because it's working, या फिर
because
I
nobody
don't know if
noticed. I don't think that's a reason that it
mm,
was working, right? It's just that nobody noticed, so
yeah,
we can get away with slightly more.
that's true. जैसे एक there's a thing where I don't know what to call it, but this is again like Trivikram written movie called Manmadhudu, which is again very hilarious.
हाँ
जिसके कन्नड़ा रीमेक में दीपिका पादुकोण ने made her actual debut before Om Shanti Om. तो इन द तेलुगु वर्जन there's this मतलब हीरोइन की शादी फिक्स हो जाती है एक से कैरेक्टर से, तो एक पंडित को बुलाते हैं ना कि मुहूर्त, ये शुभ मुहूर्त है
हम्म,
फलाना, सो दिस इज द फर्स्ट इनविटेशन कार्ड जो देते हैं ना बिटवीन द
हम्म,
फैमिलीज, तो उसमें और वो जो एक प्लेट एक्सचेंज करते हैं, तांबुलालू बोलते हैं उसको, तो in that he starts off with proper Sanskrit words and all of that, and one character, the hero, the हीरोइन जिसके जिसके साथ शादी फिक्स हुई है, तो दैट गाइज डैड, ही इज लाइक हमको ये संस्कृत वंस्कृत सब समझ में नहीं आता, जस्ट टेल अस द डेट, दैट्स व्हाट यू हियर फॉर. सो a lot goes without saying के तुमको जितना बताया उतना ही करो, जिसके पैसे मिल रहे हैं, just come here, tell us the date, and then I'll pay you the money, and then just go from here, for lack of I don't want to use any language here, but that's what it seems like, कि ये संस्कृत सब मत झाड़ो.
हम्म,
That's हाँ,
हम्म,
that's the thing, right? कि हमारे सामने संस्कृत मत छाड़ो, don't show off basically. It shouldn't be like that, right? It should, but if you imagine the same exact scene in, say, a Christian household or a Muslim household in a movie, that would never happen. Like if
वो
a
तो
if
भी
a
बोलेंगे
Maulana comes in
लैटिन भी
and says,
बोलेंगे हाँ
हाँ, तो मौलाना आके कुछ पढ़ेंगे, तो आयत या दुआ पढ़ेंगे, तो everyone's like nicely sitting and listening, which
राइट
is what normally happens, right?
राइट
I
राइट
know even in Hindu households when पंडित को
हाँ
बुलाते हैं एक अच्छे चीज के लिए, right? So nobody
हाँ
really disrespects them like that. So
एग्जैक्टली
ये क्यों करते हैं? That's why target, why take advantage of them? Why make fun of them? I mean, I'm not Hindu. I'm not even Brahma. I'm
राइट
just a movie fan basically. So yeah, so that's the
yeah
thing.
but with the brains and without I don't know some kind of tinted glasses so that's
हाँ,
good मतलब कुछ तो
आदत पड़
पहने हैं
गई.
वैसे tinted glasses but yeah not sorry
Yeah,
okay
no doubt.
anyway
Yeah,
conversation पता नहीं चला कि 1 घंटा हो गया but thanks a
I
lot for
know.
joining and
Thank you.
we'll
Thanks so much. Yeah.
talk about more. So I know there's a couple of people looking forward to this episode. So hopefully, there's
Okay.
into more, and we see you in on the credits slide soon.
Hopefully, नाम IMDb में आ जाए, बस ये चाहिए मुझे. It's like, is yeah,
Good.
that I contributed to a movie. I would
Right.
feel good. That's something I would want to do. Because I
Right.
I love writing, creating characters, and all of that, and I
Right.
hope that comes across on the screen someday. Hopefully, yeah.
Good luck with
Yeah.
that.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks so much,
Thank
Sagorika.
you. Thank you,
Watch,
guys.
like, subscribe this channel, share,
Thank
comment,
you.
all of that. Should actually
क्योंकि
get
मैं तो
all of
बोलना
your
भूल
guests
जाती हूँ.
to say that, just,
I know,
yeah,
I know. I also need to say that, but please, 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 viewers, kindly like and
yes,
subscribe because it means a lot. It's free for you to do, so just kar do yaar.
yeah, doesn't cost anything.
Uh, Chalo,
All
thanks,
right.
man.
Thanks so much, Sagarika. It was a pleasure talking.